Welcome to CoffeeIs.me podcast, where me means you, or more precisely, us. This is the show where your host, Valerian, without using any interrogation techniques, convinces coffee professionals to reveal their secrets to teach and inspire you to make better coffee and earn a few bucks on the side, if that's what you fancy. Let the show begin.
Hey everyone, this is Valerian from CoffeeIs.me podcast. Are you ready to ignite? Oh wait, that's another podcast. Let's say, are you ready to get buzzed? That might work. Thank you for listening to CoffeeIs.me podcast. Today we are going to continue our discussion with Benjamin Myers from Thousand Faces Coffee, and he will answer your questions. Before we start, I decided to share some cool statistics I get from SoundCloud, the place I host this podcast. I was curious, who are you? Where are you guys from? You know, what you do? Well, statistics will not tell me what you do, but they will tell me where are you, and who is listening to this podcast. So I went ahead and set the last 30 days. So let's see, for the last 30 days, who was coming to CoffeeIs.me, who was listening to CoffeeIs.me podcast. So the top countries I have here is United States, then it's United Kingdom, I guess that's thanks to William Davies. Then we have Canada, oh yeah, Norway, wow, I don't know too many people in Norway, and here we go, the number 4 is Norway. Then we have Germany, Australia, of course, Australia and South Africa, Australia is a big coffee country, so I'm very happy that you guys listening there. South Africa is, I think, an upcoming star of the specialty coffee. So let's see. Netherlands, of course, Denmark, United Arab Emirates comes at 10, which is pretty cool. I, was not aware that people in United Arab Emirates are listening to this podcast. So thank you guys for listening to this podcast. And hey, number 11, number 12 is Slovakia and Czech Republic, which is, my home country. Well, I can say both of them are my home country because we used to be one country before, so why not? We have here also coming up Latvia, Ireland, Sweden, Belgium, Saudi Arabia, France, Turkey, Ukraine, Russian Federation, and so on and so on. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Now let's see by towns. Where are you? In which towns are you guys? San Francisco number 1. I love that. That's great. I'm glad that the guys from around the Bay Area are listening to this podcast. Strømmen, Norway. There we go. Norway number 2, Strømmen. I don't know anyone in Strømmen. But I guess I will. I don't know. Dubai number 3. Oslo number 4. London number 5. 6 is Philadelphia. 7 is Copenhagen. 8 New York. 9 Memphis. And 10 Riga, Latvia. Wow. That's cool. This is truly fascinating. With a microphone, a laptop, and Skype, I can share coffee thoughts with the whole world. Thank you so much for making this possible by listening and giving all your support. So, no ads in this episode. This one is dedicated to you. Not only that we are going to go without ads today, but there's also cool bonus from Ben, who was kind enough to share his articles he wrote for the amazing Roast magazine. You can download them by visiting the show notes to this episode, or you can get them in our Facebook group, CoffeeIs.me. Yes, it is the same group where you can ask questions like the ones in this episode. The easiest way to get to our Facebook group is by visiting CoffeeIs.me website, and you will see on the top menu Community. Just click on that and apply, and I will approve you. Finally, before we start, a little update about the challenge I started last week. I decided to get myself a Pro Espresso equipment for my home if I get over 50 reviews on iTunes by end of this year. For one of you, I promised Coffee Courses membership, plus 3 coffees from Green Plantation, that's my business in Slovakia, and 1 mystery coffee from, well, that's a mystery, right? A week ago, we started with 14 reviews, and a week later we have 14 reviews. Oops, I guess I overestimated my capabilities. Well, I'm not giving up though. In any case, this is fun. Thank you for all your reviews. If you think I should get back to the espresso game, or if you think I should not get back to espresso game, and espresso gear can actually harm me. Thank you for not giving me any reviews and potentially saving my life. Okay, let's start this one. So one of the first questions I got was, are you happy?
Am I happy? I don't even like that question. I think there's an obsession in America with kind of, are you happy? Are we happy? Happy? And I like to have the full range of the human experience and emotions. I like to be happy. I like to be sad. I like to be confused. I like to be angry. So I think if the question was, am I hitting my target emotions, I would say yes.
I love this answer. This is awesome. And it's so true. We don't even realize that. You're right. I love this. Okay, next one. How do you sell your coffee? Offline, at your coffee place, farmers market, etc., and online in your own shop, and why?
We sell our coffee every way we possibly can. We sell it at farmers markets. We have a retail donut shop that's under another brand. We sell it through the roaster. We sell it through other people online. We sell it ourselves online, in grocery stores, restaurants, offices.
Cool. What kind of online store do you use?
We use Go Coffee Go. We use MistoBox. Then we use our own online platform. We have and that's through Squarespace. And
okay.
we have a gentleman who is kind of our online salesperson, and his full-time job is to monitor our online sales and to make suggestions as to how we can improve it based on kind of generating more web traffic and creating more successful conversion funnels on our online site.
Using the right terms there.
Yeah.
I'm an online marketing.
It took me a while to learn
it. Good job. How do you convince other roasters to collaborate in sourcing green coffee? I guess this can be taken two ways. One is that perhaps if the roasters are from the same town and they want to buy smaller quantities from an importer, and an importer only sells a pallet, but also perhaps if they want to go to origin and want to share a container. So how would you convince other roasters to do that, to collaborate in this?
Certain relationships, people, you build with people, and you have trust, and you have just good communication. I think whenever I'm trying to convince another roaster to draw their attention to a particular coffee, the first thing to do is to get them a sample and to let them kind of try it for themselves. Obviously, I put the story out in front of them and try to only put coffees that I feel really strongly about in front of them. I don't sell green coffee, so I don't make any kind of profit, but oftentimes I'll be presenting kind of different coffees to colleagues in different marketplaces and trying to get them on board with it. I've really been enamored with the Gold Mountain Coffee Growers Project in Nicaragua, and been enamored with Fazenda Ambiental Fortaleza in Brazil. I actually introduced Blue Bottle coffee to them, and they buy a significant amount of coffee from that coffee farm now. I think just what I do. Oftentimes, I'll send them a roasted sample of what we've done with the coffee. That way, they don't even have to worry about firing up the sample roaster, and they can just taste it how we've prepared it if we have the coffee.
What would you do different if you had to start again?
I would probably put myself in a larger marketplace now that has Athens, Georgia is a pretty small city. I think there's only about 200,000 people in Athens, so it's a small marketplace. It's a place I love, but I think if I was going to do another coffee roaster, I would, kind of target a larger city like San Francisco or New York or somewhere like that. But that comes with a lot of other challenges too, and I'm not necessarily saying that that's what I'm going to do or want to do.
I see your point, but I think your choice was not bad because in the beginning of the interview you told me that there was no competition in light roast.
Right.
And that 200,000, it's yours. That's your market. Those are your people. While if you come to San Francisco, there is tons of companies already, so it's very hard to score. So I think it was a good choice, maybe, as you said, it's a slower growth, but I think it's much more stable.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think, Oh, thank you for that. I'm glad it was the right choice.
Well, this is my style. I like that style. So you go to places where nobody else is, or you do businesses which everybody else neglects.
Right.
And either your market will be very small, but it's yours. It's all yours.
It worked out well. Sometimes I kick myself a little bit because I left Berkeley, 10 years ago. And if you think back 10 years ago in Berkeley, what was going on, it was a pretty prime market for opening up a specialty coffee roasting business. This would have been pre Blue Bottle, pre 4-barrel Ritual type of, or just about the time that they were all getting going. I actually don't know the actual dates, but sometimes I think back and kick myself a little bit for that. But I think I did make the right decision, and Athens was a great place to open it up, and I've been really happy and honored to be a part of kind of developing kind of specialty coffee in the South, in Georgia, and in North Carolina, and it's been a lot of fun.
Cool. How many days per week do you roast? And what is the most number of days we should wait from the time an order is placed until it is roasted? And how did this evolve over time?
Well, so me personally, I don't roast at all anymore. I used to roast all the time, doing it all myself, but I don't roast coffee myself anymore. But we roast 5 days a week right now, sometimes 6, sometimes 7. We have our accounts set up on a specific day in which we roast for them, and we collect their orders on that day, just in order to kind of manage our production better, so we don't have all the orders come in at once. So typically we're doing somebody like we roast Monday for a Wednesday, or a Tuesday for a Thursday, so they'll get their coffee 2 days after the roast date.
So what is your biggest determining factor for how long you will approach a roast?
Origin and altitude. Those are the kind of two things that I would think are the most important. Just to kind of say a little bit more about that, just kind of having awareness as to the country that the coffee comes from, and the region, and those kind of unique characteristics that come with each coffee, and then also kind of the altitude. I think altitude is something that should affect your charge temperature. That's one of the ways I've always roasted. I'm not saying it's necessarily the right way of doing things, but it's a way in which we've approached coffees.
Cool. So this is a very interesting question. I like it because it concerns both of us. Some roasters are holding back in teaching because they have to keep a secret. What is your view on this? I mean, if you have a roaster and an educator yourself, you are gonna share all that you know, and what are your plans?
So this is a wonderful question. I'm actually presenting at the Nordic Roasters Forum next month on sharing information and the kind of myth of the trade secret. I'm just a huge advocate of sharing information. And if anyone was ever to say to me, well, like, Ben, why are you going to tell your competition, how to do this? And I think, because it's going to make the space larger for us all to enjoy. It's going to educate more consumers about this specialty coffee, and people are going to be, we're going to light up more lights in the world. And activate more people. So I think that's the goal with sharing, and it's going to make me better. It's going to open up those channels with trust and communication and relationship, and people are going to give me insights and wisdom which I was otherwise blind to, and that's going to help me grow my business.
For me, the reason why I love to share is because we are creating a new marketplace. It's non-existent. Right. Like I had this interview with William Davies, and we talked about that specialty grade is still brand new. We are just 0.001% of the coffee industry, and together, let's make it 10%, because if it will be 10%, we're already making much more money than before. But we have to realize that. If we don't, we just, kind of fight each other. And the second reason is that it's kind of funny. I said it once, and I like to use it. When we started Green Plantation, we were sharing a lot of information, also with roasters, and we got suddenly a lot of competition. And you have to realize Slovakia is a poor market, so people are not that rich. And also, it's only 5 million people. Only 5 million people, so it's tiny. So people started to copy us, and I was like, you know what? What can I do about it? I can either get upset and kind of annoyed, or what I can do is charge for them. So that's why I became educator. So I decided to charge for them.
Right.
That's the funny side of the story. But I agree that we are creating a marketplace, so it's kind of cool to share and do it together. Yeah. When blending, do you blend by volume or mass?
We blend by volume.
Do you roast for yourself or for your customers? That's a good one.
Both. It's a complex question, but we're not going to do something that we don't believe in because a consumer wants it. If they're going to say, I want the coffee this way, if that's not kind of our approach to it, we're not going to adjust. But at the same time, we would be open and listen to feedback. And if a consumer's, it just depends on the feedback and the consumer's kind of point of view. Obviously, we want to create a product that the consumers can really connect to and really enjoy. And I think that comes from really having our approach and our game tight. Got to stick to what we know and do best.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
What grinder do you use for quality control?
We use a Ditting. But yeah, Dittings. I like Dittings, and Malconics are great too.
The fancy ones.
Yeah.
How did you define market niche and price? Wow.
Our price is based on the price we pay to the producer, and our cost of production. And then we have a margin kind of built into that. That kind of establishes our wholesale price to the consumer. So if we're paying more for a particular coffee, then the consumer or the wholesale account's going to pay a little more as well.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us the price difference between your retail and wholesale price?
The difference between our kind of wholesale price list and our suggested retail is just, we're selling a 12-ounce wholesale bag for $9.30. We're selling our suggested retail is $14.
Mm-hmm.
We try to suggest prices and let people, base it on their own kind of scale, but that's what we sell our bags for directly to the public. I think our highest price bag right now is about $20. I see the same coffees that we have in larger markets selling for more, and we're still kind of building our market down in the South. So I think we're priced on the higher end for our market, but potentially on a little bit of a lower end for similar coffees in larger markets. Our blends go down to about $7.50 for a 12-ounce bag. Which would be about $10 a pound. That's where we're at.
Cool, thanks. I mean, this gives some startups an idea, how to price their wholesale and retail prices. All right, last question from our listeners is it necessary to wait several hours, days after roasting before you can brew a cup? I constantly see conflicting stories on this. Thanks.
I think it is necessary to wait for different processes. I think when you're cupping, I like to give the coffee at least a night's rest, so cup it the next day. I think when you're brewing coffee, you're going to hit the ideal window kind of 3 to 6 days after the roast. And I think with espresso, you're hitting the kind of ideal window anywhere from 7 to 14 days off the roast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's various kind of understandings with that, just as there's kind of lots of different approaches. And but those have been the protocols that I abide by.
Mm-hmm. You said something about the different processes. I recently noticed that the Sun-Dried Naturals actually kind of are nicer after a week or so. Did you have the same experience?
In terms of what? Cupping?
No. When you brew them, there's kind of like more fruitiness coming through, because that's what you want from the Sun-Dried Naturals, especially from Ethiopia. They were just kind of like nicer, smoother, more balanced than the first, let's say, 3-4 days.
Right.
I don't know if you had the same experience.
I think I noticed that as well. I mean, I think you just really have to pay attention to the detail, and you have to care, because things are changing too. I mean, producers are getting a lot better at there's a lot better coffees on the marketplace than there were 5-10 years ago, and they're getting here. They're getting to the United States faster. The efficiencies have improved a lot at origin. And so I think you just have to remain awake and aware to what's going on. Sometimes I worry that we have a coffee that might be in our roaster that's just a little too fresh off harvest. And I think for a long time we were really pushing to get those coffees in fresh off the harvest. But sometimes if they just have like a little more time resting, they seem to open up a little bit more. But that's not the case for all coffees in all situations. But it might be, and that's part of the beauty about building a relationship with a producer, is that you begin to understand those little specialty nuances, which might be just a tad bit different than what's written in the book,
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. This was really awesome. I mean, we learned so much about starting a company and how you grow and what you do now. So this is really awesome. Thank you for all the information. Last questions from me. Where can people find you?
I think the best way to kind of find me is through the Chain Collaborative or through Thousand Faces. Those are my two main activities.
I put the links in the article where I publish it, so no worries about that. And I lied to you because I have one more question.
Sure.
You wrote these amazing 3 articles you sent to me in email for the Roast magazine. Is it okay if I put them under this article?
Oh, please. Yeah, thank you.
I really enjoyed the one about the feedback.
Oh, great. That was my most recent one.
Cool. I for whatever reason I don't get any more Roast magazine. I guess I just forgot to pay the bill or something. I don't know. I'll look into it. But thank you so much, and it was a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for spending your time with Coffee-is.me podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode where I asked your questions. If you want to ask a question from one of our future guests, feel free to join our Coffee-is.me Facebook group and ask a question. In the next episode, I have a guest from Australia, Daniel Smith from First Fruits Specialty Coffee. So don't forget to tune in, and me and Daniel are going to talk to you soon. Bye!